Oh, hello. Do you come in? Oh, nice to see you. I'm just as well you called when you did because having come back from that sailing from Byzantium, I'm now about to set off on a literary tour of Great Britain for a group of Canadians from Regent College, which will be quite an adventure, but also quite a lot to do. Anyway, I enjoyed reading the Yeats to you so much last time, and Yeats is such a poet to celebrate. But I thought, well, let's just carry on with good Irish poets. And it occurred to me I might not have read to you. Somewhere here I can find. Got most of his books here. There's a great. Here we are. Micheal O'Shiel, A Fragile City. Um, one of the things where you really have to learn from the poet and themselves almost how to pronounce that name. It's nice for you to see it if you want to get a copy yourself. O'Shiel, that is, not O'Siad Hale. Actually, it's very nice. This one was inscribed to me for Malcolm, hoping you'll enjoy your years as chaplain. Fondly, Micheal O'Shiel. December the 2nd, 1998. So when did this come out? This came out in 95. So this is quite a new book then, and also it was an epoch in my life. I was moving out of parish ministry into chaplain ministry, and in fact, in that life as chaplain, sometimes his poems have really turned out to be very helpful to me pastorally. So he's a living Irish poet. I suppose slightly younger then, but same generation as Heaney and Michael Longley and people like that. And the thing is that the Irish, such is the fecundity and genius of the Irish people, in literary terms, certainly, they tend to produce two or three great poets at a time. And the English public or the English mind can really only cope with one great Irish poet at a time. So the other two, get sort of left in the shadows a bit. And I think that's to some extent been true of Heaney, undoubted as his greatness and genius is, that there were other poets worthy of our attention and really well worth reading. And Micheal O'Shiel is one of them. I have he's just finished and published his magnum opus, which is a book of alternating sonnets and haikus called Five Quintets, with obvious reference to Eliot's Four Quartets. And I can't find my copy of it anywhere. I mean, I feel I may have lent it to someone, and perhaps it's not been returned. But anyway, I searched. But anyway, the poem I want to read to you, which is from his book A Fragile City, is called Courtesy. And I think it's one of his very best, and really one of the best contemporary poems. So he's very well written about and well received. His poems, especially when he speaks of love, express tenderness, remarkable in a time when poets seem afraid to write their feelings. He works in skillful verse forms. That's Lewis Simpson. There's the Irish Times, Micheal O'Shiel has a deserved reputation as a poet for tremendous verve, style and self-confidence. He's amazing. He writes very well about music. But this poem I'm going to read you is called Courtesy, and it's in three parts. So you can see 1, 2, and then third over the page. And each part is, in a sense, a poem itself, but they all move together in a particular way. And although the poem is called Courtesy, it is, in another sense, the title poem of the collection, A Fragile City, because it mentions and really gives meaning to the idea of the fragile city. The fragile city is the city. It's not one city in a geographical place. It's the polis, the human community, in all its fragility and vulnerability, but all its grace and beauty. And these are poems both about the fundamental bonds that make up our fragile city, and they're all about tending and deepening them and defending them from whatever might deprave or degrade them. And of course, in some ways, at the heart of our living together is a kind of courtesy, a kind of mutual welcome, an ability to be hospitable, not just with your goods, but intellectually hospitable, imaginatively hospitable to people who are different from you, to welcome them and to bring to them and share with them everything that has made you, which isn't just you, your personal character or possessions, but your whole inheritance, your hinterland, the books you love, the art you love, the music you love, the people who made you what you are. They're part of who you are now. And this poem very much explores that. So, Courtesy. 1. I bring my basketful to serve our table. Everything mine is yours. Everything, without reserve. Poems to which I still revert. Gauguin, Matisse, Renoir's pear-shaped women. Music I've heard, blessed Schubert. Ecstasies I'll never understand. Mandelstam's instants of splendour, the world a plain apple in his hand. Lost faces, those whose heirs I was, my printout of their genes, seed and breed of forebears. Whatever I've become, courtesy of lovers, friends, or friends of friends, all those traces in me, the living and the dead, my sum of being, a host, open and woundable. Here I am. That's the first part. Absolutely wonderful. The vulnerability that goes with hospitality, a host, open and woundable. Here I am. Then the next part. 2. Tiny as a firefly under the night sky, we try to imagine stars that travel 2 million light years to reach the eye. Long ago, on a stormy and starless night, old people used to keep a half door opened. Anyone passing could make for the light. The Russian astronauts, leaving after them bread and salt for the next to dock at the station, small symbols of welcome. Who's that outsider waiting for you? We try to imagine how destinies unravel across the years towards their rendezvous. A space for wanderers, lone or dispossessed. At this table, we've laid one empty place, that old courtesy for the missing guest. That's absolutely wonderful, because that's a Jewish tradition as well, with the, waiting for Elijah, put the chair there. So there's a hospitality and a courtesy that's extended to the stranger. And then finally, the third section, which kind of sums it all up. Never again, just this. Once off, ongoing wistfulness, wine loosening through my thighs. I thought I'd have some wine for this. Wine loosening through my thighs, closeness, our sudden huddle of intimacy. These hours, we're citizens of paradise, a nourishment of senses, such fierce delight tenses between affections, and the moments when, like a theatre after its applause, this house will fall silent again. Let gaieties outweigh their own misgivings. Émigré and native, my desire attends the moment in and out of time, which even when it ceases, never ends. I feed on such courtesy. These guests keep countenancing me, mine, always mine. This complicity of faces, companions, bread breakers, you and you and you, my fragile city. So I think that's just a wonderful poem. It's very simple in a way, and yet it's also very deft and delicate and full of all kinds of awarenesses, like just that penultimate line, complicity of faces, companions, bread breakers. And of course he knows that the word companion has the pagna part of that is root, pagna, and pani in Italian. A companion is somebody you break bread with. That's what companionship means. And he just teases that out very gently. And all kinds of their delicate things are going on throughout. I mean, you can't miss, in a way, at the end of that, I bring my basketful to serve our table, everything mine is yours, that he finishes my sum of being, a host, open and woundable. You don't lose the sense of the word host there, that the host at the Mass, the Eucharist, that God is the great companion, the great bread breaker. He comes in Christ, and he is our host in the sense that we're his guests. Love bade me welcome, as George Herbert says. I have to say, I first heard him read this poem. I should tell you this. I heard him read it in Trinity College Chapel, which was, of course, George Herbert's college, and he also read a poem in tribute to George Herbert. But when he read the last line, companions, bread breakers, and then the last line, you and you and you, my fragile city, he kind of walked out from the podium and just looked at people in the audience and said, you and you and you. And we all felt gathered together in this kind of companionship, breaking the bread of such poetry. I love the fact that at the beginning he says, when you give yourself to someone, when you open yourself, you open your house and your household to a guest, and you're hospitable and courteous. What you're offering them is not just you, but all the things that have made you and shaped you, the seed and breed of forebears, all the poems to which I still revert. In a sense, that's what I have the happiness to do with you when you drop round. It happens to be me, but it's also the things that are gathered in me because other people loved them and shared them with me, and my parents loved them and shared them with me. And that's part of what I then offer to you, and you in your turn offer to others. And that's what makes this beautiful and fragile city. I love the way he says at the end of the poem, in the beginning of the third section, that never again, just this, once off. It savours the uniqueness of every moment of shared hospitality. So he's a poet I strongly commend to you. And this little collection, Fragile City, is lovely. There are there's a collected poems out there now, and there's a selection called Hail Madam Jowers. And as I say, then there's this new major work, 5 quintets. But I hope you enjoyed that, and I'm glad, in a sense, also to be a host. Who knows, open and woundable. But every blessing. I'm going to be setting off on my expedition, so I'll probably be gone for another fortnight. But I can tell you some stories of it when I get back. Thanks for dropping round.